My name is Daniel Schmidt and I'm your moderator for this session. Today is a truly historic day. April 11, 2025, marking 70 years of Taekwondo. Whether you're joining us from Asia, Europe, the Americas, Africa, or Oceania, we are honored to have you here for this 24-hour global online celebration. Taekwondo is more than just a martial art. It's a philosophy, a way of life, and a force that unites people across cultures, languages, and generations. From the moment General Jae Hong-hee founded Taekwondo in 1955, it has spread to every corner of the world, empowering millions through discipline, perseverance, and indomitable spirit. Today, as we celebrate over 7 decades of our beloved martial art, it is no coincidence that this event lasts 24 hours, just like the 24 patterns of Taekwondo, each representing the 24 hours of a day, symbolizing the entirety of a life dedicated to self-improvement, learning, and perseverance. With the 24 hours of our online celebration event, you will experience insightful discussions, live training sessions, stories from Taekwondo legends. Our esteemed speakers will explore the rich history of our art and the exciting future that lies ahead. Whether you are here to learn, connect, or simply be inspired, this event is for you. Before we begin, I want to give some technical details, and I want to remind you that this event is completely free and open to all. To ensure this, we have, well, first an online celebration, and second, we have live translation for a huge number of languages available through Zoom captions, so you can turn this on for yourself in your Zoom application. Click on the closed captions, subtitles, activate translations, and choose the language you want to have it translated to. In addition, we do record the sessions and want to publish it later. If you have questions, though, please raise them in the chat, and the moderator will then bring them forward to the speaker. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. We start with the second pattern of this day, which is Tangun. What an inspiring performance of Tangun, the second pattern for this second hour of our online celebration. It was performed by Gemma Swinburne from Scotland, and as each pattern holds deep meaning and symbolism, each session today will bring new insights into the past, present, and future of Taekwondo. And with this, I want to hand over to our speaker and introduce him first. For this session, we have found and secured Sbn Brendan Doogan from New Zealand. Many people of you know him for his power breaking skills. Today, he will be talking about the storytelling in Taekwondo. Let's properly welcome our speaker and bow to him, Jared Jungni. And Brendan, the floor is yours, if I am able to put you into the spotlight.
Thank you, sir. It's a great pleasure to be here. Kia ora tātou. What an honor, what a very exciting event. How wonderful that Taekwondo has been around at least 70 years, and then of course more years before that. So for myself, you can describe me as a physical nerd. I'm sure many of you have watched the videos of the breaking, but I'm not just one of those breakers who breaks with a lack of brains, I hope. And with hard hands. You can see over my shoulder that we have a rich technical legacy given to us by General Jae Hong-hee, our founder. And also not only that, but some examples that we can follow, some really interesting stories. Being a member of the coach committee and the chair of our education panel here in New Zealand, I'd like to share storytelling with you this evening or this afternoon or this morning, whatever the time is where you are. I believe that storytelling is a really powerful way to learn. It's much easier to retain knowledge and figure out good examples of how to be as a person, and how to compete or pass tests if we have a picture in our mind. The subtopic for today is making mistakes, and it's actually okay to make mistakes because we can't not. So let's start nice and controversial. Did General Chair make a mistake? I don't see any hands up for yes. Yeah, I wouldn't put my hand up either. Of course, he was a human. I was very unfortunate. He died the year I was going to go to my first IIC, so I never met him. But I feel the presence sometimes, so the weight of a grand example. So we know that the beginner is a white belt. It's like a page with no information. And then when we get the first degree, we have the opposite. The page is starting to get full with information. But the second color, yellow, signifies the earth from which the plant sprouts and takes root. But it's a mistake, isn't it? Is the earth yellow where you live? Or is it brown, maybe reddish, darkish, lightish, tan? So did General Chair make a mistake? Not this case, not in this case. I'm going to do a little screen share with you now. And I'll give an example of why he was completely correct. Hopefully you can see this now.
Yes, we can.
So here's the soil in China, in the central plateau. It's called Les, so a nice Germanic word for our German-speaking friends. And here's the Huangse. So I saw the Huangse in 2007 when I was very privileged to be there, sharing our kind of Taekwondo with the South Koreans, hoping to bring our art back to the homeland. So the earth actually is yellow. And the reason that the general spoke of the center of China as being the foundation, which is a little strange, is because a lot of East Asian thought comes from China. Much like for Western Europeans, lots of knowledge comes from the Latin and Greek-speaking peoples. So the ground actually is yellow if you look down when you're in the center of China. And then when you look up, what do we see? We see another color. We see blue, which is the heaven towards which the plant matures into a towering tree. Now, in the feng shui way of thinking, we're in the center of China. We're in the Middle Kingdom, if you like, and we're looking south. We have a nice mountain at our backs and water in the front. I'm sure you might have heard of these feng shui ideas before. If not, I won't go too far in that direction. The ground is yellow and the sky is blue. And to our left, to the east, we have green, because that's the color of springtime. So we're out towards Shandong, perhaps, where more than one famous philosopher was born, Kongzi, included in that. To the right, or to the west, it's pretty tough country. It's desert out there. The further there you go, and so that color is white. So we have white, the color of death, the desert on our right. The spring is green on our left, or the east. Beneath our feet, it's yellow. The sky is blue, and we have a couple of colors left. We've got black, and we've got red. So I'm gonna let you answer in the chat. Which direction is black and why? Which direction is red and why? But don't take too long. We only have a few minutes for this. Nobody brave? That's okay. I can just tell you that, but that's not so exciting. Be a nice class for me. Put your hand up and help me. Not too bad, ma'am. Not too bad. So we see an answer. Black is opposite from white, red opposite from blue. It's you would think so. You would think so. But it's not the case. Alice Freenat, apologies for pronouncing your name wrong, I'm sure. Sabon, black is north. Yes, black is north. And that's because of the long night. The very, very long night. The further north you go in North China, the darker it gets for a long time, which leaves red being the hot color. It's really hot when you head towards southern China, not just with the food in Sichuan and places like that, but very temperature hot. So we have the 6 colors of the belt system and the 6 cardinal directions in Chinese thought. Whether there was a deliberate creation of this harmony by the general, I don't know. But it's a nice story, at least, to share with students, to give a little more meaning to the belt colors and help them to memorize their theory, and something to think about, and other ways of thinking. So that's the belt color story. So no, General Che did not make a mistake. I'm sure we're all relieved to hear the conclusion of that story. The next story is another China story, kind of. So Wanyo, I won't tell the Tangun story. I'll leave that for somebody else. But Wanyo, so he was a monk. The general did make a mistake with the date. I'm sure many of you know. He died in 686 AD. He didn't introduce Buddhism. Otherwise, that would have been very, very quick work. He did want to popularize Buddhism in the Shilla dynasty because it was for the nobles only, for the Yangban, for the nobility, if you like. And he thought, well, why can't everybody have it? If it's good for some people, maybe it's good for everybody. So he went into China to study because, of course, Buddhism entered into Korea from China and many other places as well. And in those days, the roads were not so good. If there were any roads at all, they were just mud, earth, like we have in many of our countries. My own stepmother is from a country where, yeah, there's maybe asphalt for 10 kilometers in the capital city, and that's it. And then after that, it's okay in summer, a bit dusty, but in winter, or the wet season rather, you can't travel. So Wanyo was traveling on these very rough roads, and in those times, if you wanted somewhere nice to stay for the night, you had to come to a nice farm with a friendly farmer or a village. No street lights, no autobahns, nothing. Unfortunately, one night when he was traveling, the rain started to fall. It was terrible. It was terrible. I'm sure the rain was bouncing off his monk's head like mine, and it was very cold. And luckily, he found a cave, and he thought, wow, this is really great. So he and his traveling companion, they went into the cave, and it was marvelous. What an excellent piece of good fortune, no? Some real good luck. So he went into the cave. He was happy, and he lay down and had a nice sleep. But as we do sometimes in the night, we like to stay hydrated. We're looking after our health. He was thirsty, so he discovered a cup, and wow, amazing! I'm in a cave and there's a cup of water. What good luck I'm experiencing! So he drank the water from this cup and rolled over and went back to sleep. In the morning, he woke and it wasn't a cave. It was a tomb, and he was amongst the bones of dead people. And to his horror, he looked at the cup, and it was a piece of skull, a human skull. So he had drunk out of. I mean, this is taboo. This is extremely bad luck in everybody's culture, I'm sure. So, being a relatively normal human, he rolled over and he vomited. And as he vomited, he had, I think the Japanese call it satori. I'm sure one of my more learned friends can chime in. Enlightenment, a sudden enlightenment. He realized that it was the same cave or tomb, and it was the same cup or skull. The only thing that had changed was his own perception. It was him who had decided that this was a good event, and it was him that had decided that this was a bad event. So that's the Wanyo story. And I love sharing this with students, not only because I was a green belt for 3 years, but because it's very helpful. I don't claim that I can always be patient with my judgment about things that happen to me in my life, but I think it's a really nice story. And of course, it makes Wanyo more exciting and interesting for our students. Excuse me. So I have another China-related story to do with unexpected events, very strange outcomes, and making decisions too soon about whether it's good or bad. So I'm going to do another screen share, and apologies in advance for this video. Apologies also if you can interpret what I was saying in slow motion. It's not really Dojang language, but as I'm sure you'll agree in a minute when I explain what happened, understandable. So I was in the Dojang getting ready to practice special techniques because I had been invited to New York to present at Grandmaster Suarez's Dojang. And that's where I met Grandmaster Vitali and had a great time with him. Hello, sir. And then I was going to go up to Joel Denis' Dojang with Grandmaster Fablou's group in Ottawa and teach special techniques. So I was 10 days from the plane, and I snapped my Achilles tendon complete rupture. And they talk about the stages of grief. One of the first stages sometimes being disbelief. You think, no, it can't have happened. Maybe it's a mistake, the information's wrong. And we try to bargain. There was no disbelief. I knew immediately what had happened. And I don't remember any pain, but the bad language was definitely about a very clear realization that I had a lot of work ahead of me. I was also 6 weeks from testing for 6th degree black belt. So obviously that was off the table. And in my head, I forecast 2 years of recovery, and I was correct. How did it happen? How did this happen? It's really, really weird. It's a really unbelievable story. So late July, I was teaching a special needs Taekwondo class at a local school here. It was really hard. It was really difficult teaching these very disabled kids. It was a great challenge to the craft, and I enjoyed it actually more than teaching nearly about anybody else before or since. And they really enjoyed it. They got a lot out of it. A kid sneezed in my face, like directly in my face. And this was in 2019, pre-COVID, but still pretty disgusting, right? It was, yeah, he had no social skills. He couldn't speak, this poor young man. If he got angry, the teachers just had to sort of keep him in the corner so he wouldn't hurt anybody. But he taught me. So he sneezed in my face on a Friday in July. On Saturday, I was on a plane to Hong Kong to teach special technique and power test, and it was really nice to go back to China and teach there because I had lived there in Hong Kong for a little time. And I was teaching, and it was going very well. And then I got a small sniffle in my nose, just a little one. And then after about 3 hours, I was on my back. It was one of those viruses or colds or flus that when it hits you really, really hard. So I was on my back at my uncle's place in Hong Kong, and I could hardly get out of the bed to go to the bathroom at night. It was pretty bad. I was supposed to get on a plane on Tuesday for Haikou on Hainan Island to also teach at a university there. That was such a cool experience. So a kid sneezed in my face. He made me really, really sick. And then I went to a doctor and I said, hello, doctor, Joe-san. And he said, hello, how can I help you? And I said, I need to get on a plane, but I've got a fever. I've got a high temperature and I need to get on a plane to fly between 2 cities in China, sir. And he said, you're not allowed to fly on a plane if you have a fever in China. And I said, yes. And he said, so you need to get on a plane and you've got a fever. And I said, yeah. I need to go on the flight if I can. And he said, okay. And he wrote me a prescription, and I took about 6 different. Oh, Master Chung, I can see the photo. It was Master Chung's dojang that I went to. Hello, sir. So I went to a doctor in the middle. He obviously gave me 6 medications. The New Zealand doctors would give me nothing. They just tell me go home and sleep. But I got on the plane. My temperature went down. I wore a mask. But in 2019, I was the guy on the plane with a fever. I'm sure I had nothing to do with what happened in 2020. End of the week, I was fit. I was jumping. I was kicking. I was teaching in 40-degree heat in Haikou at the university. It was amazing. So a kid sneezed in my face. I got really, really sick. I got a lot of different medicines. I got on a plane. Yeah, and then September 17th is when I snapped my Achilles tendon, a few months after that. And it took me a while. But the events are all connected. I wasn't satisfied with, oh, you're old, you shouldn't jump. People just snap their Achilles at your age if they're males. And I wasn't happy with that kind of answer to the problem. I wanted to prevent the problem for other people. It wasn't nice. So I did some research, and some kinds of medication interact with connective tissue, including tendons, including Achilles tendons. The ones I took weren't so bad, but yeah, I believe they have an effect. So my poor disabled kid with his really hard life, he sneezed in my face, and as a result of that, I snapped my Achilles tendon, and I had to teach special techniques with crutches, and I had 2 more years to wait for my down test to 6th degree. So it was pretty bad, right? What would Wonyo say? Maybe he would have said that it's too early. It's too early to make a judgment. It was actually a really good thing for me. I still can't quite move the way that I used to, but that's always going to happen as we age. Not too long after I realized that I wasn't grading, I actually felt a little bit of relief because I didn't feel 100% prepared the way that I wanted to be. And I felt I needed more partner work, step sparring, free sparring, and self-defense in particular. Everything else was okay. So 4 years after I started training for the test, because I start 2 years out normally, I passed to 6th degree, and I got a pass with distinction, which is the highest possible mark in New Zealand. So because this kid sneezed in my face, I got the best pass mark I ever got. I never got that before. I came close, but I never got there until my poor friend, with his very unfortunate situation, did something really bad and disgusting, and it made it worse because I got physically injured because of the medication, and then I had to wait a long time. But it turned out to be really good. And now, of course, I have more sympathy for people who have big injuries, and I have an ability to teach by voice, which we should all acquire if we are physical teachers for the moment. So what would Wonyo say? It's too early to tell. Maybe it'll go worse again in a little while. Anyway, that's another silver lining story. One more silver lining story, maybe 2. I'll share another video with you just now. This is the World Cup in Brighton 2012. And that's a 4-board songkal, and you can see I bent the back one. And you're probably thinking, aside from maybe our friends from Hungary and Finland, or maybe Romania as well, who's even going to think about a 4-board songkal? And these were the old boards too, which were a little bit harder. I didn't have a choice. I made a mistake. So that's our subtopic for today, is making mistakes being good. So when I measured for my songkal, I measured like this. But when I did my strike, I did this. In the first round of competition. So I missed by this much, and it was terrible. I came back to New Zealand with a bruise from here to here. Maybe I used a bit of forearm. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Don't ask me that question. And if I had got my songkal and my yopchaki, I would have got gold with no problem. Julian was there, and he got gold with a punch and most of a tolyochagi, which is crazy. Who would try a 4-board tolyochagi? He's so strong, right? And Lukasz Surak was there, and I had to do 8 tie breaks. In the end, it was just me and Lukasz from Poland. He went first. He got his songkal. I got my songkal. He went second. He got yopchagi. I got yopchagi. He went again for hand technique. He didn't get it. I didn't get it. I'm an idiot, right? We were perfectly matched. And then I forget who the referee was, but they got tired of us and they said, okay, 4-board hand. And they put up the 4 boards. I tried it and I bent the back one, which is my personal best, and I'm never trying it again because I'm just not that crazy. Lukasz, of course, is more intelligent than me. So he was like, you know what, I'll take the bronze. I'm fine. No, thank you. And so that's actually my favorite medal, because I made a mistake, a really bad mistake. but I fought and fought and fought and didn't give up. And if I hadn't been pushed by Lukash, if I hadn't made that mistake at the beginning, then I would never have even attempted 4 boards with a song card. You know, I'm not the biggest power breaker. So again, a silver lining. What would Wonyo have said after I made that first mistake? Now I know how to measure. I can coach people on measuring well, but I also know what a body can do if it wants to. Given the right circumstances. So another silver lining to a mistake. Checking the time. I think we're going okay for time. So I'll show you this
Definitely,
next.
sir. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, definitely, sir. It's another 15 minutes if you wish. 20 is also
Okay,
good.
thank you. I have one or two more stories and sharing time. Excuse me. So please look at this really ugly yopchagi. I'm sure you agree that it's pretty bad, right? I mean, look at that. I'm leaning over. I'm not looking at the boards. One moment. The kick is pretty flat. My body's lying down. It's really not a beautiful yopchagi. Here's another example from World Champs in Italy, 2015. The same thing. It's so ugly, right? It's pretty bad. I'm using the other foot though, which is interesting, and I might come back to that. These are some really ugly kicks. They're not very pretty at all. And here's a video of the same in 2013.
I believe in the board. I believe in the boards are broken.
But effective, no? I hope you agree. That this 5-board yopchagi on the old boards, not the wonderful ones that Paul Norman Plastics have made safer and better for us. It was really ugly, and I would like to say I designed this kick and I had a great, purpose, and I went out and considered all the variables and then designed a kick. But actually, I noticed it by accident. So I try to video a lot of my training so I can analyze and then track my progress and tell myself, actually, look, you used to be terrible, now you're only bad, and next week maybe you'll be so-so. I realized that some of the ugliest kicks I was doing were actually the better ones, the more successful ones. So having the data, I was then able to discover the principle. And the principle, I'm happy to share it with anyone. The principle is the body wants to be that shape to produce power. If we jump or land, if we lift something very heavy, we want to be this shape. Like this. We want to lift something heavy like this or like this. Our feet are underneath the body. We have our ankle, our knee, our hip, and the body. So if the body is feeling comfortable and natural, when it's producing that type of action, then in this case, we lean over. For patterns, not acceptable. I hope, we all try and do better than that in our patterns. So I made some mistakes, but what would one have told us? It's too early to tell. Yeah, they're pretty ugly kicks, and I still think they're pretty ugly, but they're very effective for that task. For patterns, no. For the traditional side, absolutely not. For free sparring, no, you shouldn't try and kill people in the ring. But that's another example of a mistake put into context and analyzed over a while and then accepted for what it is, actually an opportunity. We're tracking well for time, I think. So one more sort of tournament example, and then we'll go to maybe the more important part of Taekwondo. Master Mark Hutton is coming back to New Zealand in June, unfortunately, when I'm in Europe. So we'll cross paths. I won't see him this time, but he's, I'm sure you'll agree, he's very scary. And when he tells you to do the splits, you just go and train. And that's what we did in 2013. He came out to help the New Zealand team, Kaponga, and he was right. As a group, we were not flexible enough. He said, why wouldn't you kick somebody in the head for 3 points? Like, why would you sacrifice that? Just do it, get it done. I won't copy his accent, so I'm conscious he'll probably beat me up. So the first two people to get the splits were myself and Wesley Faliki, the power breakers, which is really funny, eh? It's like our training was normally lifting heavy stuff and eating burgers, and we got the splits first. I got too excited, and I stretched really hard in a sauna, and I tore my hamstring really, really badly at the top of my left hip. But what would one y'all say? Hopefully by now you're like, it's actually a good story. And you're right, yeah. So I ripped my hamstring on my left leg, which means I couldn't use my right leg. So I could either not compete in 2013 at the World Champs, or I could change legs. So I experimented with changing legs. And you know what? It turns out that one of those medals behind me there is because of the left leg. The left leg, my non-favorite, non-dominant leg, is actually the gold medal leg for me. My favorite kicking foot is the silver medal or bronze medal leg. Why? Well, because when we have a favorite leg, we stand on the other one. So I do all of this pretty stuff with my right foot. So which leg is actually getting stronger every day? The left leg. So it turns out that some of those yop chuggies you saw, the ugly one, the left leg is actually better because I was injured, because I made a mistake. And I wouldn't have discovered it. I would not have listened to anybody if they said, try your other leg. Now I tell people, hey, try your other leg. When I come to Europe in June, I'm going to definitely suggest it to some people. Try your other fist, or try your other balcal, because you might not actually be accurate in your own self-assessment. So thanks to Juanyo, I can relate this to the other stories that an unfortunate event that still sometimes gives me trouble has turned out to be very useful to me, and even more importantly, hopefully to lots of other people. If we make a mistake, it might be too soon to say whether it's good or bad. We should let time happen and then give some slow thought to things. Okay, time check. Let's talk about self-defense, that's what Taekwondo is, right? Taekwondo is a version of unarmed combat designed for the purpose of self-defense. Of course, we have a sport and a way of life and a tool for social development, as Grandmaster Tran said. Which one are we looking at there? Okay, so have a look at these techniques here, and you tell me which ones of these you think are realistic for self-defense. So we have, and my instructors used to call it an armbar, an elbow lock. Maybe realistic, we don't know. Let's find out. Diga Tejapki from Ponto. Is it realistic? Would somebody ever actually use this technique out of Ponto? And a video.
I use this as a real
This one is Suragami Aftamilki. Suragami Aftamilki, front pushing kick. Are these realistic for self-defense? And I'm sure by now, yeah, some of you are shaking your head. I got you, James, I got you. I see you shaking your head, sir. Finally, what's the theme of tonight? Mistakes, right? So it's a mistaken belief to not trust our Taekwondo techniques. I know lots of us play with other martial arts as well. You know, maybe we could go to judo people and practice our falling so we can bring it back. We can do a little bit of boxing or kickboxing to round our martial art, to support. But we have stuff. And if you've seen the breaking videos that I've done, you know that I believe in them because I've done them. Which brings me to, so the elbow lock, I've actually done it. And people might say, it's not realistic. Somebody will just do a shin kick on you and they'll MMA your face and blah, blah, blah. But they're thinking of the wrong context. So the locks are possibly for a lower level situation. So a few years ago, I was on a busy highway in Auckland, New Zealand, and I saw a lady. She took her trousers down and she went to the toilet on the side of the road. a little unusual here. I don't know about where you're from. I'm not saying anything, but something was wrong with this lady. I didn't know what was happening with her, and I still don't know. But I worried that she would walk in front of a car and she would get killed or very badly hurt, and then somebody else would, have a really, really bad day. Nobody wants to hit a pedestrian, I'm sure. So I applied this elbow lock on her, and I put her onto the ground and waited until the police came to take her and find out what she needed. So that was self-defense, a really interesting one. I defended her against herself, which can happen sometimes, right? If we have small children and they're going to run onto the road or something, or they're going to fall off something, you just save them straight away. You defend them from themselves. So that's an interesting example of self-defense. The elbow lock is not realistic if you're thinking of fighting a black belt. Of course not. First question is, why are you fighting a black belt? The second question is, never mind. So an arm bar, elbow lock, the wrist locks, the general left us, especially in the self-defense section, but we have them, of course, in terms of releases and the patterns. They're realistic. We just need to understand what they're for, practice them with a partner, and then maybe one day we can help somebody. Second example, the front pushing kick, the skipping front pushing kick. Would you use it in free sparring against another black belt? From 3 meters? I would expect a nice D-chuggy, maybe another question mark on my nose from Master Baron. I would think I would be really stupid to try this against any of you. You're black belts, you know what you're doing, you would see me coming. So how I used it for real was the guy didn't see me coming because he was attacking somebody else. I used to work at a petrol station overnight, which was really intelligent, in downtown, which was really intelligent amongst the party people on Friday and Saturday night, which was, it was great. I still have trauma in the evenings. I get nervous. So 2 carloads of guys came and they were just looking for trouble. There was another 2 guys in a car. They were just getting a pie and a Coke or whatever, going about their business. They didn't park too well, and these other guys decided they're going to make a problem because of the parking. And I could see what was happening. So I went outside and I used some very strong English language, and I told them, please go away. I'm the boss here. Leave now. With very strong English language, right? You can imagine the phrases. I won't use them in this context, but I use the command voice, which you're not supposed to do, according to lots of self-defense experts. However, I took the element of surprise, pushed one guy into another guy, and the main character, he decided this was the time he was going to attack one of the guys. And so I came from the side with this front pushing kick, and it worked. He went flying. It was like a record stop. It was like a kung fu movie. I should have just retired from Taekwondo then. It was like the best moment of self-defense in my life. Not that I've had many. But this technique worked. I had practiced it in my instructor's dojo. I practiced it with sparring partners. I practiced it on a bag. I imagined using it. And then one day, the perfect situation came up where I could help a couple of people who would have probably gotten quite badly hurt. I believed in general trades techniques, and they actually worked. So a mistaken belief that sometimes it would never work might be about the context that we're imagining in. I see one of our friends, possibly from Finland, so I apologize for not trying to pronounce your surname, Ms. Joanna. Maybe I'll see you in June when I come with Mr. Filiki. You're not supposed to command somebody in self-defense, because in many cultures, if you try and boss somebody around who's upset, they're just going to get more upset. So that's the advice that the experts have told me. Anyway, the guys, they got back in the car, they threw some bottles, they used some strong English language, and then everybody went home safe. Technique number 3, Digutejapki. This wasn't me, but a good guy here in New Zealand. He was under Master V, and his clubs and students came to join ITF NZ maybe 25 years ago. And he's a fantastic practitioner. And he, this gentleman, Trevor Harborough, I should use his name. He used to own a pub in Whangarei, which is it's a safe city, but it's like all cities, there are some tougher areas, and he had a pub in a tougher area. and somebody needed to leave but didn't want to go, and the guy was playing pool, snooker, billiards, and so the guy didn't want to leave, and he picked up a stick, and luckily Mr. Harbrow had been practicing TKD70 at club, so he caught the stick as the guy swung, reversed it exactly like it shows in that photo in the encyclopedia, and replied with the pool cue. And before I heard that story, I was in the camp of, I'm not sure that I believe in this TKD70 thing, TKD70. I don't know if I believe what the pictures show or what our instructors tell us that it's for. But now, having heard from somebody who's actually used the technique, I believe in the technique. So we come back to the idea of mistakes. I've made lots of physical mistakes, got injured and stuff, and learned, and then been able to help myself and other people. We might have mistaken ideas about what General Che was saying. For example, the belt color. Yellow is the earth from which the plant sprouts and takes root. It isn't yellow in most places, but in Chinese cosmology, the center, the middle kingdom, the earth is yellow. The sky is blue, east and west are green and white. We have black with the north at our back and red in front of us, so the 6 belt colors. And then mistaken ideas about, do I really believe in my martial art? And I think we should. If you practice these things on a pad, if you practice them with a cooperating partner and then a resisting partner, I think we have a greater respect for the general's legacy, but also the potential to help more people, ourselves or others, one day if things come up. That's the end of my stories. I've made sure that I leave a lot of them out because I can talk too much and I don't want to run over time. So please, I think Mr. Sbn Schmidt will now maybe take some questions or something.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. It was really inspiring to listen to you, to your stories. And personally, I learned a way to respond if someone says, well, this does not work in self-defense. This technique does not work. Yeah, and you're totally right. It depends on the situation, what we want. If I have a situation and I use the wrong tool, it will not work. If I have a screw and I use a hammer, it works only partially, right? Something it will be in the wall, but maybe not the way it was intended. And maybe this is the thing that we can take from your last story. Take the right tool to the right situation. So thank you for sharing this with us. I want to ask the audience if there are questions or maybe a story that you have on your own on a similar one. Is there anything you're eager to share? Ah, there is someone. Yes,
Hey,
please.
good night. Well, for me, good night.
Hello, sir.
Well, I'm for good blue belt. I would like to talk about the gold chomaki, the one you made in Chungun. No, Julgok. My boss Alonim told me about this. It's something that you were talking. You need to. Sorry, my English is not my. It's
good. It's
well,
good. Just continue.
You need to understand what are you doing, because it's not simply wrapping the arm of your opponent. It's more like you take and pull, because that's what you want. You block with your forearm. Yes, your forearm. And then you try to pull to what do you say when you take the balance from someone?
Yeah, bring him out of balance. Exactly.
Exactly. And then, well, that's pretty what I would like to say.
Thank you for sharing. Maybe our speaker, Brendan Doogan, can comment on it. And how would you apply it, or when wouldn't you apply it?
Thank you, sir. And I agree. Please don't worry. Tu inglés es mucho más mejor que que mi español. So yeah, learning languages is hard. We have 1,000 languages in this group. So thank you, and we understood you. My understanding is
Thank
that
you, Brendan.
you're welcome, sir. The hooking block is the start, and we can continue by pulling and then counter-attacking, exactly as in your Gok. In one of the books behind me, the 1965 encyclopedia, we have some techniques that are not there anymore. The general took them out by the 1972 encyclopedia, including pulling block. So I believe that grasping block turns into pulling block. So we pull the opponent so that we can hit them. There's a great photo of Grandmaster Chuck Serif flying, holding somebody and punching their head in the start of some of the encyclopedias. So there's another tool that we don't use too much. We don't grab each other, certainly not in tournament sparring. It's a foul because it's unsafe because we're too close together. But in the situation where maybe you just need to get rid of someone, you can grab them and push them away. Or if it's serious, well, we see lots of martial arts where they grab somebody and punch them a lot, in martial sports, I mean. So yeah, I believe in that technique very much. Of course, we should pressure test it. We should practice in a safe way and then in a slightly contested way with a partner. And then, yeah, as you say, maybe it'll be useful one day, as long as we make the connection between the theory and the practical. I see Roy Rolstad is here, so maybe he should answer some questions more than me about pattern applications for self-defense.
Thanks. So also, as mentioned, technique works if it is applied properly, and it's worth practicing it. How we do it in our class, how it is taught, let's say, as we have heard in the previous session in IICs. And with this, we keep the legacy. And at some point, I think we can, well, I hope we do not need to apply them, but we are equipped with tools, and hopefully we will find the right tool for the right occasion.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This I don't see any further question at the moment. If there's anything, then maybe you can just write it in the chat, and Sbn Doogan will answer it. So there's a lot of things to think about. I am very inspired to go on for the next one, for the next sessions. It was a wonderful start. It was representing Tangun this the second part. You said you will not share the story about Tangun. Maybe this is a story that we can share the next time. So thank you again for your session, for your inspiring stories. And as in the previous hour, we will reconvene in now 10 minutes at the start of the next full hour with a let me check what it is, the next one. Okay, the next speaker will be Ariela Figueroa from Finland, USA, and she will have a practice session for conditioning for elite Taekwondo athletes, and well, how Taekwondo is a specific strength and conditioning routine. So something practical to learn in the next hour. Thanks everyone, and see you soon in a few minutes.